welcome to the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. Every week, hosting a business communication expert so that you and I will learn tips and strategies to boost our business. It's a great pleasure this week to welcome Dusty Porter. Here's the way he describes his services on LinkedIn. I am an online content creator, podcaster, and voice actor. I love to teach people how to use technology and to make a living on the internet. I own and run the technology-based YouTube channel, Technology Guru. And let me go beyond his own description and add mine. Having relied on Dusty's expertise myself for several years, I'll say that in a very fast-paced decade, Dusty has become a highly respected and sought-after internet expert. His YouTube channel has attracted, get this, 358,000 subscribers, and he has produced 971 instructional videos. He'll be reaching 1,000, I imagine, in a few weeks. And there's one of those I'm certainly going to watch this week. It's entitled How to Grow a YouTube Channel Fast. So I want you to join me now in welcoming Dusty Porter to the Biz Communication Show. Hello, Dusty.
Hello, Bill. How are you doing today? I'm super excited to be here. We've done this a couple of times previously, so it kind of feels like home. So I'm thankful that you gave me another opportunity to kind of come on your show and discuss kind of what I have going on. And we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today.
Well, we could discuss Georgia Bulldogs. I see you.
Yeah, that's a rather depressing subject at the moment, but I hope we'll get to redeem ourselves here soon.
Yes, since we're recording after their first loss of the season, but better days will come. And we've had a great season. We know that.
We have. We sure have.
Dusty, let's start out, please, by having you tell us what are some of the creative ways that business leaders can use video to attract customers and clients. What are some of the ways they can do that?
Yeah, this is a great question, especially in today's time. You know, even pre-pandemic, right? The video boom was happening. And, you know, now working on YouTube and helping coach and consult folks like yourself and other individuals who their reasoning for joining YouTube was not necessarily to gain a huge following, but it's to take their business to the next level. And I believe video can be used just as well for a dentist office locally as it could for someone trying to grow a brand in entertainment. And so YouTube is such a vast thing. It's a great search engine. It's a great tool to use when you're trying to learn something new. Whatever you're trying to utilize, it's fantastic. But as a business owner, understanding who you're trying to reach, and you and I were just discussing that briefly before hitting the record button, is a very important thing to understand prior to trying to tackle the whole YouTube or online video marketing space. And when I work with a client, I often tell them on the first meeting, I say, well, what are we trying to accomplish? Who are we trying to reach? Who is our target audience here? And once we know that, once we have that really nailed down, we can then take them to the phase of, okay, let's go ahead and build the channel out. Let's talk about content. What type of stuff do we need to put out there to really reach that person? And for different business owners, it may be the local dentist, like I just mentioned, trying to reach the local area as to why their services are better than A, B, or C. Or it may be someone trying to grow their brand, like a young person trying to play video games for a living and to present that on YouTube as well. So again, there's a ton of different reasons as to why one would want to join YouTube. But as a business owner, I think the tandem of online video and podcasting and a website, there's so many things you can do and package it up nicely to really present yourself in a way to get more, I guess you would say, eyeballs on your stuff than previously.
Well, one thing I would say here, Dusty, is that we are, and every business leader needs to realize this, we are in the video age. There was a time decades ago when every advertising and every promotion was print. That's what we had. Then we got into audio, and now we're in the video age. And I think you would agree with me that if a potential client or customer goes to a business website and there's no video on there. Everything is just static. Nothing is moving. That's not very contemporary. It's not very attractive, and it's not very exciting, is it?
No, it's not. There's so much more that you can do beyond that. And you're right. We are in a video age now, and there has never been a better time to step into it, because the amount of finances required to do something high quality, the amount of time that you would need to put into it is much less than what it once was. And I just want to encourage those out there watching and listening to the show to understand that you too can take the jump. You can take the leap into video, and it's not as scary as it may seem. You know, you point a camera at someone, and Bill, you know this, they begin to stutter, they get a little they begin to kind of whisper, and they don't speak out. It's because they've never been on camera before, and we can get you through that. And I've gotten many creators through that fear of, once they understand that, hey, this is just a camera, this is just a microphone, we're here just like we're talking to a client face to face. It's no different, and we can get past that point as well.
Something else I'd like to point out here is that, contrary to maybe a dozen years ago, when video production started coming in big time, we can learn, business leaders can learn to produce their own videos. I'll tell you this, Dusty, if I can learn that, anybody can. And I want to give you an example of how reluctant I was 25 years ago to move into the technology age. I can still remember a friend of mine in Arizona getting me on the phone one day and saying, Bill, you are going to learn this today. And I said, no, I cannot learn this. She said, I'm going to. Guess what it was, Dusty? It was to learn how to cut and paste on the internet. And that's how far removed I was from being able to do that. So if I can learn it, anybody can. And so I like very much your point about, it also doesn't have to be anything perfect, because when you and I talk to each other in the grocery store or wherever we see each other, we don't worry if we goof a word, or if we look away and lose eye contact for a minute, or if we suddenly forget what we want to say. That's just what we would call cinema verite. That's life, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect is often the biggest proponent against actual productivity. You know, you try to perfect something, whether it be a video or a podcast or a website or whatever you're trying to do in this media world, and you never end up publishing anything. You know, the main thing I see in a lot of my newer clients is that their fear to publish, their fear to actually do something. And oftentimes the main proponent of that is they are trying to perfect it. They're trying to make sure their lighting looks just like someone who's been doing it for 10 years. They're trying to make sure their video quality is as good as movie. You know, there's things that you can do to really amplify and make yourself look and sound better. But again, you don't have to be here, you know, in order, you know, right at the top of the mountain in order to start publishing stuff. There are a lot of large YouTubers who now in interviews, when going back, they say one of the things that helped them most with the first 100 or 150 videos that they published on their channel, and they learned so much. I know me personally, I've told you this before, Bill. I go back, and I was just watching one this morning because I needed to pull something for a newer video. I go back and watch my old stuff and listen to my old stuff, and I think to myself, man, I have come so far. So it's a great thing to go back and look at where we came from, because we can see how much we've grown. And so the perfectionism part of us as humans, and, you know, my wife is much worse at it than I am. She is such a perfectionist. And I wish I was more like her, because she sees the smaller details. Whereas me, as kind of the creator, I just kind of, I go for it. I put stuff out there. I want to just make stuff, but she perfects things, and she does it in such a manner. And so kind of combining those two mindsets, I think can really help folks get over that barrier.
I think there's something we could compare this to, Dusty, and that would be somebody who's trying to become an author. And they keep revising, and they keep editing, and they say, well, this is the 7th version of the manuscript and nobody else has seen it yet. And as one of my professors used to say, and it never sees the light of day. So our sense for perfectionism, it's certainly fine that we have high standards, But let's mention, Dusty, that what you and I are doing today is having a conversation. We had no preliminary rehearsals. We had no warm ups. This is just two people talking. And that's when video becomes absolutely real, personable, and interesting, right?
That's correct. It's getting beyond that. It's really understanding why you're trying to do it. And I don't want people to listen to our conversation today and think that we're promoting putting out poor quality content. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get across today is that what you think is poor quality probably really isn't. It's really good stuff, and your message deserves to be heard. And that's the thing that I've really grown my business on, is really helping people spread their message to make a difference. And that's really what I'm all about. Your message, Bill, and with communication and how you really interview the folks you have on this show. I believe in it. I believe in what you do because you have such a great message. And so I want to help people like yourself take their content, take their business, and put it out for the world to see and to hear. And that, to me, is what's important. And I think that getting beyond the fear of video, beyond the fear of perfectionism, and really doing something that makes a difference and changes people's lives, that's what it's all about.
Yes, it is. Okay, and talking about producing our own videos, which again, I'll add, is much simpler than it used to be. It's much more cost effective than it used to be. Let's just talk technology for a brief minute here, and that is what's the best, some of the best tools, better tools for editing our video once we have produced the initial copy. I guess it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago that Mike Stewart got me onto using Camtasia. And Camtasia to me it's like anything else worthwhile. It has a learning curve, but I wouldn't think of producing a video and publishing it now if I hadn't taken it through Camtasia, where all the nice things you can add to it. Are there any other editing and more editing software that you would suggest?
So I love Camtasia. You know that. I've used Camtasia for a long time to do a lot of screencast recordings. And before I say anything or mention any tools of the trade, is what I like to call them, I always tell people you need to use what you're comfortable with. You never want a tool to bog you down. I often say this about social media. Social media can really slow you down. You can get consumed in it. You can start reading all of this stuff. And instead of creating things and making videos and really pushing your business forward,
Becomes addictive, doesn't it? Really becomes addictive.
addictive, and it ends up getting in the way. And so I oftentimes tell folks to set aside time where you don't mess with any of that stuff. So don't ever let an editing tool or something for video ever get in the way. If it's ever cumbersome, if you're ever not comfortable with it, there's always something better or something that will work much better for you individually. So for me, I use Premiere Pro. Because I use all Adobe products. For me, that's what I'm comfortable with. I subscribe to the Adobe suite of tools. So I use Premiere Pro for video. I use Adobe Audition for audio, and I kind of marry those together to produce my video at the end of things. And then something I would love to tell folks is that, Google has a great suite of tools, Google Documents, Google Drive, to where it's free, to a certain extent, to where you can upload files and you can type up scripts for free. And it's a great creative workspace to go into. And I always oftentimes tell people, don't forget about the small things like that. And then obviously I'm promoted and supported by a tool called TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is just a great tool that gives you even more amplified analytics for YouTube. It also gives you A/B testing for thumbnails to try two different thumbnails against each other. And there are 30 to 50 more tools that TubeBuddy provides you. So definitely go check that out. And Bill, maybe I can give you my promo code we can put in the show notes of this episode to let folks try it out for 30 days for free. And that's a definite tool that I recommend anybody try out.
Thank you for those. And hearing from an expert who has produced so much, it's good to hear those software tools that are very valuable. I mentioned at the outset that you have a vast following on YouTube. And so the final question, which we have a minute or two for only, and I know you could talk for hours on this, but What are one or two or three tips you could give us about building our YouTube presence if we already have a channel?
Yeah, if you already have a channel and you're trying to build that presence, again, a pro tip, again, go back to the beginning of the show and listen to what I said about finding who you're trying to reach, your target audience. Number two would be the aesthetics of your YouTube channel. You may not be a graphic designer. You may not be someone who has the skill set to create a great thumbnail or a great channel banner. I would really urge you that if you have the funds, if you can afford it, or maybe go down the line when you can afford it, to hire someone to create a nice channel banner, make your channel look and feel good. You may not think it makes a difference, but it does. And then stick to that aesthetic, stick to that theme, and kind of make it really together. Don't create a thumbnail that looks like this and then another thumbnail that looks completely different on your channel. Try to keep things kind of in a group or a phase that looks the same. That way, when someone watches one of your videos, they're going to see it and suggest it and be like, oh, that's another Bill video, or that's another video from Dusty. That's really helped me is keeping my thumbnails kind of similar to each other. And then lastly, the thing that I always recommend to folks is that they get so hyper-focused on video quality that they forget the audio. I will never watch a video that I cannot understand the person. I will never sit down and consume content on YouTube if the first 10 seconds when they begin to speak, their video quality may be masterful, but if I can't understand the words they're saying, I will never listen or watch a video, because what's the point? So really taking effort in the beginning of getting a quality microphone that you can get on Amazon for less than $100 and figuring out what sounds good, and then taking your space that you're recording in and trying to make sure you're in a carpeted room. Maybe get a couple sound panels to put somewhere on the wall to kind of dampen the echo. There are small things we can do as creators to make ourselves sound better. So those are just three of many that I could give you today, Bill.
And I've heard you say that before about audio. We can have flashy, attractive visuals, but even though we're in the video age, the audio still must be top level. It just can't be amateurish or difficult to understand or staticky or any of those problems. It has to be top quality, as well as our video production has to be. Dusty, this has been, as always, a fabulous opportunity to tap into your expertise and have you share wonderful tips with me and with the Biz Communication Show audience, both our viewers and our podcast listeners. So I know people will want your contact information. Please give that to us now.
The two that I'm giving out now are just very simple. You can email me, dusty@dustyporter.com, if you have a question or would like to connect with me about maybe talking about your YouTube channel, what you can do. And then secondly, you can find me over on Twitter. It's Dusty Porter YT. And that's the two best places to get in touch with me. And Bill, thanks again for having me. I love coming on this show. I know both of our time right now with the scheduling is kind of crazy, but I'm so thankful that you allowed me to a voice here on the show again, because I always love coming on and talking with you about this kind of thing.
You are a very welcomed and vital guest because you give us helpful information in a very energetic way, which we appreciate so much, Dusty. Thank you for your contact information. And now that you've given yours, I'll give mine. Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. So logically, my website is bizcommunicationguy.com. I invite you to go there, check my services for leaders and for corporations, and get in touch with me. Would like to talk with you about your communication problems and challenges and how I can assist you in solving them. Again, thanks very much to Dusty Porter for being with us today. I encourage you to contact him. Thanks for being a guest with us on the Biz Communication Show. Be with us again next week, please. I'm your host, Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy.